I've been rubbing my eyes like the past minute because there's something in it and I can't get it out. Oh my god, it's so red. Hey everyone, it's Tran back for another video. I am so excited to make this video just because this is something that I am very passionate about and something that I truly do love. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this video just because I didn't know if anybody would care about what I'm about to say or if anybody would be interested in this or if it would help anybody. But then I realized that being a server is actually a very common job and it's a job that a lot of people look into doing but they're not sure if it's right for them. That is why I'm making this video. This video is going to be the truth about being a server, but it's mainly just going to be the pros and cons of serving. Like most pros and cons, they go hand in hand. The cons that I'll be saying can also be a pro. It just depends on the situation. Also, this might be a 2 to 3 part series, it just depends. I have a lot of video ideas regarding being a server. I'm just not sure if I want to make them, which also means if you enjoyed this video, you should subscribe and turn on my post notifications, just in case I do make more videos regarding this topic. So with that being said, let's get into this. I'm going to talk about the cons first, just because they're negative and I don't like negativity and I just want to get that vibe out of the way first. One of the biggest cons regarding being a server is definitely the fact that you make tips, and that is what your income is for the most part. As I said, the cons and pros go hand in hand because the amount of tips you make can actually be a big pro, but it's also a big con because you don't know how much money you are about to be making at the end of your shift. If the restaurant is dead, guess what? You're not going to be making that much money. There's some days where you're really busy and you're getting good tips. There's some days where you're busy and you're not getting tipped at all, or you're getting really bad tips. There's some days where you are just dead but you're getting good tips, or you're dead and you're not getting good tips, or you're dead and there's nobody in the restaurant at all. It really just depends. A lot of factors go into it. The fact that you make tips can be a really big con, just because you might only make $20 that day, $30 that day. But there's other days where you might make $100, $150. It just depends. Just keep in mind that you don't know how much money you're going to be making. And also the fact that servers only make $4 an hour and that your paychecks are roughly $50 to $100 every 2 weeks for most serving jobs. Just keep all that in consideration when you are deciding on if being a server is the right job for you. Your income is not consistent, but that's just part of the job. Another con about being a server is customer service. I personally didn't think I'd have to put this in here because it's common sense, but some people lack common sense, so I'm just going to throw this in here and quickly touch on it just to get my point across. A serving job, it's very customer based. If you are a server, you and those customers are literally your best friend for the time that they are in the restaurant eating their meal. They're your best friend because the more they like you and your service, the more money you're about to make off those people. Because yes, those customers are the people paying you. They are the ones paying your bills. It's just how it is. So those customers are literally your best friend. If you don't like people, if you don't like customer service, obviously being a server is not the job for you. Customers can be very rude. I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? When you're a server, the only time when something is your fault is if your service sucks. But if the food sucks, if the drink tastes funny, if they had to wait a half hour to be seated, whatever the case may be, the only time when something is your fault when it comes to being a server is if you give them bad service. But to the customers, everything is still your fault because you are their server, you are their best friend for the time that they are there. So therefore, they are going to complain to you before anybody else. They're going to ask you for a manager. They're going to complain to you about whatever the problem is. But that's part of the job. That is why you are their server. You are there to help fix any problems, and you are there to go get the manager so that way they don't leave angry, and so that way you still get a good tip. So if that does not sound appealing to you, and if you don't like people or customer service, don't be a server. And this is another obvious fact about serving that I'm about to tell you, but it is a very huge con to people. If you do not like being on your feet throughout your whole shift, this is not the job for you. The only time when I can sit down is if it is really dead and there's absolutely nothing for me to do. You can only wipe down a clean counter so many times. And also if I am long silver throughout my shift. But 99% of the time though, I am usually keeping myself busy. There's usually always something to do. Even if the restaurant is dead, there's always something that you could be doing. Therefore, if you don't like being busy throughout your whole shift, if you don't like to be on your feet throughout your whole shift, this isn't the job for you. Because I know that being on your feet throughout your whole shift will bother a lot of people, and I know staying busy will bother a lot of people. I'll be honest with you, I hardly ever get a break because our downtime is our break. And also because if I take a break, then that means that another server is getting my money. That doesn't really sit well with me. Plus, and this kind of goes into my next con, is that servers only usually work 4 to 6, sometimes 8 hour shifts. depending on if they're working a double or not, then it can be a little bit longer. But for most part, most servers are mainly only scheduled 4 to 6, sometimes 8-hour shifts. Well, transitioning from not getting a break is also because sometimes you don't work long enough to legally get a break. If you're busy throughout your whole shift getting slammed, then you're not gonna have time for a break. And if you truly do want a break, then you have to basically quit taking tables, meaning that somebody else is getting your money. So with that being said, that leads me to my next con, is that most serving jobs are not full-time. So if you're looking for a full-time job, I don't think being a server is really for you. Being a server is mainly a part-time job, usually where you work 10 to 25 hours a week. Very rarely will you find a restaurant that gives you full-time hours as a server. I'm lucky, and where I work, it is full-time. Technically, I only work 38 hours and I don't work 40 hours, but still, like, that's pretty much full time for being a server. Because most of the people that I talk to who are servers at different restaurants, they only get 2 to 4 days a week. I get 6, at the lowest 5. So I'm very grateful for where I work. Granted, I've been at this restaurant for a year now, and we only have a max of 10 servers, so I get more hours because of seniority and the fact that we only have 10 servers. But still, most of the time, you're not that lucky. I'm just very grateful to be in the position that I am in. So keep that in mind. If you're looking for full-time hours or a lot of days, then this isn't really the job for you. Seniority takes a huge effect into the hours people get, but that's how all restaurants should work. Now let's focus on some of the pros. Woo! One of the pros is the fact that you're making tips. As I said, that could be a big con, but it can also be a big pro. There are some days where I make $150 to $200 in 4 to 6 hours. That's insane. Servers can make really good money. If you go to work and you need to make $100 to pay a bill, you can possibly make that $100 in a shift. I wouldn't rely on it, but if need be, it's possible. There's been countless times where the fact that I get paid every shift I work because of tips saved my booty. Most people have to wait 2 weeks until they get paid, so they have to make what they make last for a span of 2 weeks. They have to budget that. Just for an example, say your car is on E, completely E, and you just need 20 bucks to get some gas in it, and you know that you're gonna be working the next day, then you know the next day you have gas money. That's just the big pro about being a server, is that you get tips and that you leave every single shift you work with some amount of money. Whether if it's only $30, that can pay a bill if it's a cheaper bill. So the fact that you leave every single day making money is really, really convenient. The fact that you don't know how much money you're gonna be making is the inconvenience of it. The pro about customer service, I have a lot of people that come to my restaurant that I work at and they request my section. They ask me where my section is and then they sit in my section. Those people are called regulars, and those are the greatest people to have. Because I've met so many amazing people while serving at this restaurant. Just really nice, genuine people, and it really restores my faith in humanity sometimes. And those regulars always tip me a lot better than other people who aren't my regulars. So if you can create great relationships with your customers, and if those customers can literally become your friends, then they will come back and see you and leave you better tips. A lot of the times, your regulars leave you the same amount of tips too every single time they come in. So it's just really nice to have those regulars, because not only do you know that they're gonna tip you, you create these great relationships. I'm not saying to kiss up to your customers just so they come back and tip you. It just happens naturally. I just naturally created these great relationships with people, and every time they come in, honestly, I don't even care about the tip that they're about to leave me. Just the fact that they came in to see me makes my day better, especially if they're really great people. It just really makes your day better, and it helps you get through your shift when you see these nice, friendly faces and people that you just connect with and build relationships with. But the fact that serving is customer service based can be a really big pro for that reason. The con that I mentioned about always being busy and always being on your feet can be a very big pro for some people, and here is why. I don't know about you guys, but staying busy for me gets me through my shift so much easier. My shift zooms by because I'm not just sitting there looking at the clock. I'm staying busy. I'm always doing something. It's nice. I like being on my feet all the time. I was a cashier at Walmart for a month and I hated that. I was stuck in one spot, and if Walmart was dead, I was just standing there doing nothing. It was stupid. But when you're a server, I always find something to do even when it's dead. But when it's busy, you are busy, and I like that. And I like that I'm always on my feet because I get my steps in for the day. It's just nice. With all that being said, those are the pros and cons about being a server. Granted, there is a lot more I could talk about, but then that'll make this video really long, and I don't really want that. So I just chose the ones that I think are the most important. Being a server can work for you or it can not work for you. It just all depends on the type of person you are. So if you can relate more to the cons I mentioned than the pros that I mentioned, then being a server isn't for you. But if you can relate more to the pros of the cons that I mentioned, then being a server is for you. As I said, that's how pros and cons work. They go hand in hand. Being a server isn't for everybody, and if it isn't for you, please don't waste everybody's time and the customer's time and the business's time hiring you. If you're gonna come in every single day in a bad mood, then it's not for you. You need to come in with a smile, and even on your worst days, you need to act like it's your best day ever. Comment down below if you are a server and just your experiences regarding being a server and things that you have learned and pros and cons that you feel like are important that I didn't mention. Go ahead and comment those down below. I just chose the most important ones in my opinion. Be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends if you want to, especially if you are a server. Share this video with your coworkers because I know you guys can relate to it and possibly agree or disagree with what I had to say. Either one is fine with me. Just share this video. And definitely subscribe if you are new. Tap the bell to be notified whenever I post so you don't miss out on a single video. Thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for the support. See you guys in the next video.